So here's what we're left with after disassembly. We've got the electric dryer pan, we've got the motor with the fan connected to it, a little bit of ducting, the heating element with a little bit of ducting, and then all this electronics that, well, I don't really want on top of my heater. I've seen plenty of videos of plenty of guys taking a dryer apart, ducting it, making a smaller box, putting all the electronics inside out of the way, and then putting this on top of the dryer or on top of the heater, because every dryer that I know of has a timed dry function. So you can set the time and it'll dry for that long. I don't like this. I think it looks tacky. It's going to remind me that I made this thing out of an electric dryer every time I look at it. And the fact that it's got these touch buttons that don't actually have a click button, it's just a touch button. If one of those buttons goes out and I can't turn my dryer on, my heater on, I have to take it apart and bypass all that. So I'm going to do all that bypassing now so that I don't have to worry about it in the future. Now there's some things we can eliminate. Light for the inside of the dryer and the door switch tells the dryer when the door is open. Other things we need to keep intact, like this thermal circuit. I forget what that's called. It's in the little book here. It was nice enough to be stuffed inside the dryer. This is a book for technicians to troubleshoot a dryer. So when you call a technician out, say your dryer goes out, you call a guy out, this is stuffed somewhere in the dryer hopefully, and he can diagnose what the problem is. But this is a thermal cutoff switch of sorts, so if the heating element gets too hot, this opens the circuit so that it turns the electric heating element off. So we'll keep that and maybe a couple other little switches here and there, but everything else I want to eliminate. Make this thing as simple as possible. So here we have two thermistor switches. Now thermistor switches tell the dryer how hot or cold the air is in small increments of degree. So it can keep the air inside your dryer at a certain temperature. Say you want to dry things at a slow rate, this will tell the dryer to keep the temperature down, or vice versa. We don't need these switches. I'm not going to have a certain degree or a certain temperature coming out. So we're going to bypass this sensor. We might as well get it all the way out of there. There's only two red wires that come out of this whole thing, this whole cluster, and they kind of loop through each other. So if you take this sensor, it's got this wire, goes from there over. That leaves this wire, just needs to go over here. The wire gauge is the same, but the connections are different. This has got a bigger connection than this white connection, so it's not going to fit directly on there. So after reading through the service manual to figure out where the rest of these wires go, I'm pretty sure that this blue and black wire, if I put an on-off switch, a light switch, in line between these, that'll turn my fan motor on and off. I'm also pretty sure that the red and black wires, if I put an on-off switch in between here, it's going to turn my heating element on and off. But I'm not a service repairman, so I'm really not too sure. And how I'm going to figure this out is I'm just going to clip these wires, put some on-off switches in, take this, plug it into a cord very carefully, plug the cord in the wall, turn everything on, and see what happens. It is important to note that this is a 30 amp system, run off of a 30 amp breaker. So you need to buy 30 amp light switches. The only 30 amp light switches I could find were 220 volt. I want two different light switches, one for the heating element and one for the electric motor. So I bought two 220 volt 30 amp light switches, and I'm just using one side of each switch. So we've got the heating element kind of lined up. It's not secured, but we're going to test the motor first. Make sure that works. Now this black wire is hot, so you don't want to touch anything up in here, any bare wire you don't want to touch. Pick this up. Look at that. centrifugal switch for the heating element that's on the electric motor works, so that's a good thing. Perfect. I can already feel the heat coming out of it. Now that we know it all works, the next thing I want to do is clean up some of this wiring. We've got a hot wire that we cut off right here, got exposed copper. We don't want that. We don't want that to touch anything and short out. Fix the ducting. Make sure the ducting's nice and sealed, or as sealed as it can be for a dryer. It doesn't have to be perfect. We'll build a box around it. It should be ready to go. Here's a little look at the inside before we close this thing up. We've got a couple caps on top of those holes from the thermistors that we took out, and I wrapped up the wiring. That was kind of fun to build. I can't say that I really have a purpose for it other than heat the shop up a little bit. In a standard 2-car garage, this would probably work pretty good. A standard dryer comes out, I think, 125 to 130 degree temperature for air. Keep in mind, a dryer is meant to heat up 6 cubic feet, a 6 cubic foot drum, and it doesn't take much to do that to dry clothes. So it's not really meant to heat a shop or a garage. Now, my shop here is 36 foot wide by 48 foot deep, 16 foot eaves, and no ceiling. So any heat I put out here kind of goes straight through the trusses and out the roof peak. But it probably take the chill off the air on days like today when I can see my breath. And I've got a wood burning stove over there. So if I point it at my wood burning stove to circulate some of the air around, we might be able to warm this place up a little bit. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up button for me. If you like to see things get made, built, or fixed, this might be the channel for you. Hit that subscribe button for me, a little bell for notifications, and I'll see you next time. Don't forget, go make something.